It's time for another tale from the glass-guarded world, with Brian as Paxton the human cleric, Ashley as Tara Dane the human fighter, Andy as Finmac Caspin or the gnome wizard, Danielle as Athelflad the halfling rogue and monk, and me, Mike, as the DM. The adventurers have arrived at the Western Research Facility. Here is a small hint. You might want to go back to episode 2 and give it a re-listen. Now the party has stumbled upon a murder, and they look highly suspicious. Atolf, the gray-cloaked wizard, who was already not their biggest fan, is definitely not happy to see them. Around the body of a dead man. Across from you, having just entered the room, is Atolf, and behind him, a crowd of various spellcasters. So your investigation of the river has brought you here. How very strange, and such perfect timing. He steps warily to the side, moving around you. Most of the spellcasters with him look confused, but a couple of them seem to catch on, and they follow his lead, and begin slowly moving around, flanking your group. Perhaps you should tell us why you are here. Now.
What was our story?
Atolf raises an eyebrow as you whisper to each other.
Well, we're trying to find out what happened to the Gods River.
Yes, I've heard that story before.
Well, I think the truth is the best way to go here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we met Mun, and he said that he had a research assistant here. We were here to see... he hadn't heard from his assistant, Tor, so we were just here to check up on him, as a favor to Mun.
Do you have some proof that you are here from Moon?
I pull out the card with the heavy stock and funny font.
All right. Atolf inspects the card closely, and as he's looking at it, you see a bright light shine from the card, and it dances across Atolf's face. You can't see whatever it is that he's seeing, but he chuckles and says, I suppose I must admire Moon's style. And he hands the card back to you. And he says, so you are looking for Tor?
Yes.
Yep.
You don't notice anyone fitting Tor's description among the people here.
Have you seen him?
He says, you want to know what happened to Tor? I was under the impression that he left weeks ago. Cole, he turns to one of the other people there. Cole, did you not say that he left a note on his door saying that he had business to attend to elsewhere? And this meek-looking old man with a long beard nods his head, and he says, yes, that's right. I've got it here somewhere. And he reaches into a bag and instantly pulls out a piece of parchment. And he says, yes, here it is. It says... And he reads it. It says, Mun has summoned me for important work. May be back in a few months. Thanks for all the help. Tor.
Insight check.
Okay. What's your bonus? I'll roll it.
Oh, +5.
You think that this old man looks nervous and a little terrified, and he doesn't appear to be deceptive. He seems like he's reading off the paper.
I just think it's strange that he randomly had that piece of paper in his pocket. Like, that's not something I would be carrying around.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in
weeks
fact-
later.
Yeah.
In fact, pulling it out of the bag that he pulled it out of, he didn't have to search around or anything. He just stuck his hand in and immediately came out with that.
Tara also looks really suspicious. Also, she's sort of looking down at the body like, yo, we're going to talk about this guy?
Atolf eyes you suspiciously as well. And he says,
Which you would that be?
the group of you.
Okay.
He's looking at all of you suspiciously, and you are now surrounded by several wizards and sorcerers. And they have got their hands up in a ready-to-cast spells pose.
Oh.
And Atolf says, so, why are you looking for Tor again?
Mun asked us to. Clearly, Mun did not ask him to leave.
Hmm.
I think we have a mystery on our hand, gang.
We sure do.
Jinkies.
So he says, this is the Western Research Facility. You already know me. I will introduce you to the rest of these people. The man on the floor is Detlev, the diviner. I suppose.
Dead?
Yes. I suppose his curiosity finally went too far. Strange that he did not see this coming.
Why do you say
sassy
his
stuff.
curiosity went too far?
Also, too soon.
He's dead.
What was he looking for?
He's a diviner. He is always asking questions.
Do you remember what he asked last?
We can get to that. I will introduce everyone. He gestures toward the young woman who led the other group into the room. You remember that she had opened the door and told them to follow. And he says, this is Ida. She is interested in the undead and necromancy. It is rude to enter someone's laboratory uninvited, but it is dangerous to enter hers. He's about to go on and introduce the next person, and then he stops. And he says, Ida, you are a necromancer. Cast speak with that on the corpse and see what it will tell you. Ida steps up to the corpse and casts a spell, and a look of confusion comes across her face. And she says, it did nothing, nothing at all, as if I hadn't cast the spell. Except I felt the usual warmth of waste energy. And Atolf looks puzzled. Finn, make an Arcana check.
Okay. 8 plus 6, 14.
Okay. You're not sure what might have gone wrong with the spell. It looked to you like she did cast a spell, though. She's not faking or anything.
Well, is it possible that he's not dead? Did anyone actually see his wisp leave the body?
Ida says, no, I didn't see him. I didn't see his spirit leave. No. I got here, I guess, after he was already dead. And Lumpin says, oh, he's dead.
So when she
Look
says
at his face. You can see his face is partly caved in.
Ooh.
when she says she felt the usual warmth of waste energy, is that something that would mean something to us?
Not so much to you, but Finn, you know that every time you cast a spell, there's a bit of waste energy that comes from casting the spell. Even if you're really efficient at casting, there's a little bit of waste energy that comes out as heat.
Okay.
You and other trained, magistracy trained wizards are more efficient at that. So you don't produce as much waste energy. But she's saying the fact that there was waste energy meant that she knows the spell actually went off, just it didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, Atolf scratches his chin for a moment, and he says, it is possible that someone else has already cast Speak with Dead on him. If that is the case, then this spell would not work for another 10 days.
Do you know anyone else who has been here besides us?
Just us in this room.
Then who in this room cast the spell?
I do not know. How would we know that?
Have we searched the body already?
No, not thoroughly. Lumpin did a little bit of poking around.
All right. I'm going to search the body.
Okay.
Sort of as ceremoniously as I can.
All right, you begin searching the body. I'm going to roll an investigation check for you. All right, you begin searching. Atolf continues his introductions. He points to a 20-something, clean-shaven human male, wearing robes. And he says, this is Jaromir. He is interested in healing magic and the existence of the divine. And Athelflaed, you realize that Jaromir is wearing the robes of an order of monks that is related to your order. His order is called the Norgothene Order. And Dunstan has mentioned them to you.
Yeah, so I would, what has Dunstan said, or can I?
You don't even need to roll. This is something
Okay.
you remember.
Okay.
While your order focused on the river's healing properties as well as natural medicine, this other order tried to use magical healing. And Dunstan told you that their order was only moderately successful because not everyone who joined had the knack for casting that sort of magic. Jaromir is definitely staring at you just as you are staring at him. He recognizes your robes just like you're recognizing his. And I would like you to make an intelligence check.
Okay. 14, 15.
He looks familiar to you. You've seen him somewhere before, but you can't quite place it.
It's like,
Maybe if you ponder it some more.
yeah, I'm trying to think of, should I ask him or pretend like I don't know?
Well, in any
Well,
case, Atolf looks at the two of you who are staring intently at each other, But he continues his introductions. And he goes on to the next person. This is Dylan Fleur, a bard. And he looks a little bit disdainful. From the Great Forest. He is interested in how glass is affected by vibration or something like that. And the outlandishly dressed bard bows deeply and gives you a giant grin. This is Cole, the conjuration specialist. He points at the old man who read Tor's note. And the old man looks down at the ground and mumbles something you can't quite make out. Again, he seems pretty nervous.
What was that? I thought I heard you say something.
I just said hello.
Uh-huh. Can I do an insight check or?
Sure. What's your insight bonus?
4.
He seems really nervous.
Okay.
He also seems a little down.
Oh.
And are these all the people that work at this facility?
Oh, he's still got people to introduce.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still
Let's
going.
just let him get through it.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta know the whole cast. No group of magical researchers would be complete without a gnome illusionist. This is Darliana Tingleplot. And a gnome steps out from behind Cole, and she gives you a big smile. And then she notices the body again on the ground, and then carefully removes the smile from her face and tries to look somber. And then Atolf continues. Landon here is a sorcerer who studies the differences between wizard and sorcerer spellcasting. And an eager-looking young man nods at you. His robes are a mess, with food and wrinkles on them, and he looks like he's not practicing good hygiene.
What's his name again?
Landon, Landon. And he has a large book under one arm, and he has a pack on his back that, by the way it sags, you're guessing probably contains more books. One wizard remains, a grim-looking human in a purple robe, with graying hair and a short beard. Last but not least is Minister Klemperer. He is in charge of this facility. He is also a high-ranking official in the magistracy. You will show him respect. Perhaps you could introduce yourselves.
Well, my name is Avelflad. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Paxton. Nice to meet you as well.
Hey there. Oh, I was about to say my name is Sandy. Hey there. My name is Finmac. I come from a rival the same as my friend here.
Tara looks up from the body and is like, I'm Tara.
You don't find anything on the body. Not a spell book, not an arcane focus. Just some papers that are soaked in the blood and that Lumpen looked through last time. And the ink has run on them, so they're not legible except for the little bit that Lumpen was able to read to you last time. In fact, you agree with Lumpen's guess that someone has already gone over this body and searched it.
What were the words on it Lumpen read?
The words on the piece of paper that Lumpen read to you, the paper was being held up by Finn's mage hand. The words were, broken the taboo. It must be stopped before it is too... And that's it.
Tolf, you,
Yeah.
do you happen to know what Tor was researching while he was here?
Well, he was very curious about the work that all of us were doing.
Which would be?
Well, you can talk to each person individually, but I've already told you their specialties. So just to recap everybody here, we have Atolf. He hasn't told you what he's here researching, if anything. Detlev, the dead man, Detlev, who is a divination specialist.
I wrote deadlift.
That's what I was saying. Dead?
Detlev. Ida, who is a specialist in necromancy.
Mhm.
Yaromir, who is a specialist in clerical magic. Dylan Fleur, the bard, who is a specialist in bardic magic. Cole, the older man, who is a specialist in conjuration. Darliana Tingleplot, the gnome illusionist. Obviously, her area is illusion magic. There's Landon, and he is an expert in sorcery, as opposed to wizardry. And then there's Minister Klemperer, and he didn't tell you what his expertise is.
Klemperer, like emperor with a KL?
Klemperer, Klemperer.
Okay. So if there's kind of a gap while Tara's searching the body, I want to kind of do two things. One is a medicine check to see if I can determine if there's an obvious cause of death.
Right.
But I also want to make sure that this body is actually there and not an illusion.
Okay. You're going to make a medicine check. What's your medicine bonus?
+5.
All right. So it's not a difficult check because it's easy to figure out what killed him. Just a cursory check reveals this man's head. It has suffered massive trauma. He was hit with some sort of large blunt object.
Okay, like a big bludgeoning
Yeah.
wound.
Like a giant maul or a big rock or something like that. But he has suffered massive head trauma. Although it looks like he's also received several other blows to his body that were not fatal.
Is there anything in the room that would suggest it could be, not necessarily that it was, but it could be,
The
or
weapon?
could have been used on the
The room
body?
is mostly empty.
Okay.
I mean, there are some stairs at the back going up to the walkway that around the second floor. There's a carpet that leads across the room. There's no furniture in here. There are no tools. There are just a couple doors. In other words, nothing in here looks like it would make a useful weapon.
Can we determine how long he has been dead?
Yes, as part of Paxton's check, he has been dead less than an hour.
And someone's already checked the body.
Yeah, someone has already searched the body, you think, and Lumpen agrees.
And it's definitely not an illusion.
It is definitely real. I mean, if it's a very good illusion, if it is an illusion.
Okay.
So, since we're in the main chamber, and it seems that the door is right here, if he died recently, don't you think it's possible that nobody in this room killed him? That whoever killed him took his things and just left out the front door?
Yeah, it is possible.
Were all of you together?
It is all very suspicious. I will tell you what. I will talk to you about this more shortly. For now, I would like everyone to return to their work and leave the investigation to me. And he looks at the four of you. 5 if you count Lumpen, I guess. But not you. You stay here. And Ida, please wait on the other side of that door. He points to the door that goes back into the building. And the wizards, the sorcerer, and the bard exit the room, talking quietly to each other. Before leaving the room, Minister Klemperer says, Atulf, I expect you to keep me apprised of any important developments. And Atulf nods at him. Klemperer looks like a stern man.
As they're on their way out, I want to ask Jaromir. He's the cleric, right?
Right.
Mhm.
He wouldn't happen to
He's
have
actually not a cleric. He's a wizard who specializes... Well, it's actually a little bit fuzzy. He looks like a wizard, but he studies clerical magic.
He's
Can-
the one wearing the monk order robes.
the robes.
And I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I should just outright ask him. 'Cause
I should say he looks like a wizard and a monk and maybe a little bit like a cleric. He looks like a weird mix of things.
Well, I'm interested in seeing. I think he would be the best bet, but possibly anyone here might know Zone of Truth.
Mm.
And Zone of Truth, we don't have anything to hide. So I think casting Zone of Truth and just telling them whatever they want to know might clear us out of suspicion relatively quickly.
So you want to stop him and ask that?
Yeah.
Okay. Atulfa says, that is a good idea. Jaromir, do you know that spell? And Jaromir says, I do not know this spell.
Don't clerics have access to all of their spells, and in between long rests, they're able to reset what spells they're going to use?
They can change their spell list, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
their
but
access to spells.
Zone of Truth is a second level spell, and if I can get a long rest and go up to level 2, I will be able to cast Zone of Truth, but as of right now, I can't cast it.
Okay. Well, no, I was just thinking if he has multi-class, as much as it sounds like he has, then even if he doesn't have access to it today, he might be able to cast it by tomorrow.
Well, it sounds like what he's saying is that he studies clerical magic, but he is in fact himself a wizard.
Okay.
And that's
Darn.
more your wheelhouse in terms of knowing how that stuff works.
Yeah, no, if you haven't bought the spell or it's not in your spell book, then you can't cast it. I don't think wizards can even cast Zone of Truth.
They might not. I mean, if I take a rest, I could cast Zone of Truth on us, but then again, if I was someone else, it'd be like, yeah, I'm definitely telling the truth right now. I don't know if I trust that.
Yeah. So he's not out of the room yet, right?
No.
You know, Yalamir, You look really familiar to me. Are you familiar with someone by the name of Dunstan?
Make an insight check.
Ooh, he gonna lie to you.
19.
All right, I should have rolled that one for you myself, but I
Oh.
forgot. That's okay. Yeah, he looks like you have said something that has hit him like a ton of bricks, but he is trying hard not to react to it. And he says, "I've heard the name before."
Uh-huh. Well, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I can tell that you're holding something back.
I have nothing to hide.
Mm-hmm. He's getting schooled by...
Yeah,
Alright.
he's obviously looking uncomfortable.
Everybody else is still in the room.
No, actually, everybody else is left. Yaromir is still here, and Ida is waiting on the other side of the door to talk to Atolf.
Okay.
Yaromir says, "I go now. I will be available when required."
Atolf, would it be possible to have him stay by the door as well? That way we can go ahead and talk with him after the fact.
Why don't you talk to him in his laboratory? I want them all to get back to work.
Just quick question. Are y'all working on the same thing, or are y'all
No.
researching individual things?
No. Each person works on a different thing.
Okay, so this is just like a general research facility. It's not going after one mystery.
It is now, yes. It was not always that way, but it is now.
All right, well, obviously I got a lot more questions about that, but I'll let y'all get back to whatever you were doing.
All right, Yaromir exits rapidly. So once they leave, Atolf shuts the door behind them and tells Ida he'll get back to her in a moment, and then ushers you guys to the middle of the room around the corpse. And he turns to you all and says, "I am here because I received an anonymous note suggesting that there was a security problem here. With the permission of Minister Klemperer, I have begun my investigation. Frankly, I could find nothing wrong until Ida found Detlev here, and then you arrived. There is something strange going on here. Sometimes there are strange noises at night, or cases of deja vu, or things that go missing. I have not worked it out, and I cannot trust the others to help. I do not trust you either, but unless you are more powerful than I suspect, you have not been hiding here for weeks. I do not know what you are really up to, but I can tell you have no idea what is going on here. That makes you useful to me. I will make you a deal. You will do whatever you have come here to do, but you will also help me investigate this murder. Talk to the other researchers. Search their laboratories. Find their secrets. Report back to me. I will also share with you the things that I discover. If you do this, I will look the other way while you do whatever it is you are here for, provided that you do not break anything or kill anyone. Make no mistake, you are all in danger here. It is possible that all of us are in danger here. Do we have a deal?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are guards?
There are no guards.
No guards. Okay.
So just to verify, the only person here that is a higher rank than you is...
Minister Klemperer.
Okay. So what is your role in the organization then? If you were brought here for security reasons, what do you do exactly?
As you already know, my job is to keep things secret that are supposed to be secret, including this facility. However, I was told that there is a security problem here, and this may prevent it from remaining secret. I do not know the nature of the problem. The note was not specific.
Do you still have that note?
I do not. It was shown to me by another minister.
Well, in that case, if we're working with you, do we have the authority to go and interrogate everyone individually?
Yes, I will go interview Ida now. I will let you know if I find out anything interesting. I will tell the others that you are to be treated as visiting researchers and investigators working on the moon, and that they are to cooperate with you. You will be given a section in the dormitory upstairs to rest.
Okay.
Atolf,
Yeah,
Said that Ida found the body, and then what? Did she just go get everybody?
yeah. She ran down the hallway, shouting for help.
Okay.
Okay. And if she has already cast Speak with Dead, I think it would be a good idea to have her expend all of her magic. Because if we know roughly how powerful she is and we know how many spells she can cast, if she's one spell short, she might have already cast it twice.
Yeah, but she might have also cast another spell earlier today. We could not tell that she used that spell.
True. Okay, never mind.
All right. So he's going to exit the room and talk to Ida and see what she knows. And that leaves you guys to investigate as you want. So I can explain the layout of the building as you move through it if you want, or you can ask me questions, or however you guys want to proceed.
Is there any, in terms of blood, is it only around the body?
Yeah. I mean, there are a
Okay.
few specks around, probably from when the impact initially occurred, that killed him and let a lot of blood out of his head. There's some specks around that have sort of sprayed around, but other than that, it's all in one spot.
Any other injuries on his body besides?
Yes. Paxton found that he had other blows to his torso.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he has the main blunt force trauma to the head. Are the other blows on his body like
Similar.
bruises and cracked ribs and stuff like that?
That's right.
Okay,
So
not
it looks like he was
stabs.
attacked with one kind of weapon or thing, and they all the injuries are probably due to that same thing.
I want to do an investigation check on the body. What I'm looking for is trying to I'm gonna go Sherlock Holmes here. Try to figure out roughly the height of the perpetrator, because if it's someone that's shorter than him, the blows will be coming from the bottom. But if they're about the same height or taller, it'll be eye level or downward.
Good question. You think it's someone shorter?
Okay.
Yeah, someone shorter than him. Looks like the blows are coming up from below.
And from what we know, who's shorter than him? From what we saw.
How tall was Ida?
Ida was about 5 feet 5 inches tall. So
And
not
this
real tall,
guy-
but this guy is about 5'10",
Okay.
and so a lot of people would be shorter than him, right?
Mhm.
But people that you saw just now that are shorter than him. Dylan Fleur, the bard, is a little shorter, not much. Obviously, the gnome is much shorter. Everybody else looks, I guess, Cole, the old man, is sort of stooped over, and so he's shorter. He might have been taller when he was younger, but he's shorter now.
So when you're talking about there were other blunt force trauma locations on the body, are there any scratches or
Yeah, it looks like
bruising
there's
around the
some
hands?
scratches to the torso that are a side effect of whatever he was hit with. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out if he was distracted and then ambushed. So maybe there's more than one person involved.
Oh, okay. So the two of you, Paxton and Finn, based on your investigation checks, you would guess that he put up a fight for at least a little while.
Okay.
Okay, so he has some defensive wounds.
He has some defensive wounds. Also, he took a bunch of blows, probably while he was still up. So he didn't go down with the first hit, you don't think.
Is there anything under his fingernails?
His hands look relatively clean. You don't see anything under his fingernails now.
Okay.
So we've walked through the outside of the facility because we went up to the wall.
That's right. You walked around one side of it. That's right.
Right. So from what we've seen, considering the size of the facility, would it be reasonable that he was sitting here having a fight with someone and that nobody would hear anything? Because I think that's suspect.
You haven't walked through the whole facility. You don't know what's on the other side of these big double doors at the back of the room. But given the thickness of these big stone walls, it is possible that if other people weren't right nearby, they might not have heard anything.
Okay. Where do you guys want to start the investigation?
Well,
Klimper.
we've been on the road for a while. Do we want to take a rest first?
He just wants to cast Zone of Truth.
Yeah.
What time of the day is it?
It is mid to late afternoon.
I already
It's like 3 o'clock-ish, something like that.
I all feel really cozy with like just going up to bed right now after we walk in and see this dead body and have no idea who killed him.
Yeah,
And
that's
just,
true.
Yeah,
I can wait.
I think we should probably work for a couple hours, earn our beds for the night, and then tomorrow we can see what we can do.
Yeah, and I think Who here has the highest intimidation? Probably you, right, Tara?
Probably.
Yeah. Because Uramir, I think, needs to be coaxed into spilling the truth if we can't get the zone of truth.
Certainly.
Agreed.
I say we talk to Minister Klimperer first.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just really going from the bottom of my list up since he's starting at the top with Ida.
My interest is with the old man who is too obvious to be the actual murderer, but I'm thinking maybe the gnome illusionist because she's considerably shorter and she was the only one that was described as being happy or chipper. And that might have just been because she's a gnome, but
Yes, seems
yeah.
a little.
And I'm thinking, I don't know. It might be my own confusion between enchantment magic and illusion magic, but I think if she knows a couple enchantment spells, she can make the old man. She was standing behind him, so she could probably make the old man act nervous or act suspicious to take it away from herself.
We could also find out that's just his regular personality.
True.
Mhm. Yeah, this may seem a bit biased, but necromancers and illusionists automatically don't make me feel very comfortable. So they're on the top of my list.
Okay, so do you guys want to start with the Emperor then?
Sure.
Klimperer.
Klimperer.
I keep thinking of the Emperor from Star Wars. I'm imagining some
Yeah.
really old dude in the
No,
black.
he looks
Let
he
the
looks like a
hate
silver
seep
fox.
through you.
He looks like a distinguished, successful older gentleman.
Okay.
A real George Clooney type.
Yeah, exactly.
Lumpin, can you please stay by the body and come inform me right away if anybody gets near it or if anybody comes to look or inspect it?
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. The double doors, I guess you're going to move through those, and on the other side there's a hallway, and you can see Ida is entering a door to the left, and Atolf is standing there waiting to talk to you. And he tells you that he found the following things talking to Ida. All right. So first of all, while everyone else was in a meeting in the dormitory upstairs, Ida was trying to finish up an experiment in her laboratory. And she heard a cry from the entry hall. She ran to open the door, and she saw Detlev on the floor. No one else was in the room. Now, there was a bit of delay between her hearing the call and getting into the entry room because she had to finish up the experiment she was doing. She had to sort of shut it down so she could go find out what it is, what the noise was. But she's the one who found the body, and then she ran to get everyone else.
She heard no other voice, so no even grunt of exertion
Nope.
hitting.
That's right.
That is shady.
Everyone else was in a meeting.
Mhm.
Yes, everyone else was in a meeting upstairs, although she had forgotten about the meeting, she said. She was trying to finish up this experiment instead of going to the meeting, and she'd sort of forgotten about the meeting, and then she ran to try to get help, and then eventually found them in the dormitory and brought them all down.
So we approached the Western Research Facility from the front, so that the gate was within sight for probably at least half an hour, and at the time that we investigated the body and found it was...
How long was the meeting?
So it was not a long meeting. In fact, Atolf tells you, "We were all in a meeting called by Cole, the conjurer. When we arrived in the dormitory, however, Cole swore he had not called a meeting. Thinking back, I realized it was Darliana Tinkerplot who told me that Cole had called a meeting. She too swears that Cole had told her about a meeting, and Cole swears he did not. I am not sure what to make of this."
So it was under an hour meeting?
Yeah, it was a short meeting. It was maybe just a few minutes, actually, maybe, let's say 10 to 15 minutes. That they were trying to figure out why they had been called to a meeting. And with Darliana saying that Cole had asked her to tell everyone else to come up to the dormitory for a meeting, and with Cole saying he hadn't, in fact, requested any such thing.
So I'm thinking that either one of them is lying or they might both be lying. I'm thinking that the murder could have been one of two things right now. He's a conjurer and she's an illusionist. If he can create something to kill the diviner, she can make it invisible so that it can walk around. Or there's some form of changeling shapeshifter that's living here that is impersonating different researchers because, like the note from Tor, there seems to be, I don't want to use the word mystery, but there's something weird going on
I
in
say
general.
we talk to them
Yeah,
before we just decide.
Yeah, Atolf tells you that Tor disappeared weeks ago, and that they assumed, based on the note, that he just left.
Now, to counter what you said earlier of it being either one of them is lying or they're both lying, they could also both be telling the truth, because it could very much be that Cole didn't call the meeting and Darliana saw Cole tell her to call the meeting, but it wasn't Cole, or she was being enchanted to think it was Cole, or someone enchanted Cole to say that he was calling the meeting and then wiped his memory of that.
That's possible too.
So Atolf
Which
says...
sounds like bardic magic.
Atolf says,
Oh.
I need to go. I need to shut down my experiment and secure it to make sure that it is safe. I will be in my laboratory upstairs if you need me.
Okay.
So he
Go ahead.
walks upstairs. The stairs are at the end of this long hallway on the right. So he walks down the hallway and goes up the stairs. And there are, to your right is a small door, which you think probably leads into a lavatory, a restroom. And to your left and right are 6. So on the left, there are 3 double doors. And on the right, there are 3 double doors. And at the very end of this hallway are some very large double doors.
At the time that we investigated the body, it had been dead for about an hour, right? And we approached
No, for less than an hour.
for less than an hour.
Less than an hour. You don't know how long. You just know that based on how much the blood had congealed, it had been less than an hour.
And we approached the Western Research Facility from the front.
Mhm.
And if someone were leaving, they would be either leaving out the back towards the laboratories, in which case they're probably still in the building, or they would have left out the front doors, in which case we would have seen them exit the building.
You would have at least seen the doors themselves open.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if they had exited that way, the doors would have opened. Even if they'd been invisible, you would have seen that.
So we can at least confirm 100% that the murderer is one of these people.
Or still in the building.
Yeah, at least
Still
still
in
in
the
the
building.
building. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think that's a good point to start with.
Yeah.
Now they could exit the building, of course, if they were to go back out the front doors.
Hmm.
Is that the only exit? Are there no windows or anything like that?
There are no windows in the first floor. There are some on the second floor.
Okay. Okay. Where do y'all want to start?
Do we want to ask I forgot their names, but the meeting, we can just do
Cole?
like an insight
You
check.
want to talk to
yeah.
Cole,
Yeah.
the old man?
Just to see if he's telling the truth, whoever has the best insight.
And is he the
Bonus.
one that seemed nervous?
Yes.
Okay.
So, as you look at the doors on this first floor, none of them say Cole's name on them. The doors are labeled with the people who are occupying the laboratory. And on the first floor, the closest laboratory to the front, it's Detlev's, followed by Yaromir, who has a laboratory across from Detlev's. And then Darliana's laboratory. And then Dylan Fleur's laboratory, and then Ida's laboratory. Hers is actually toward the back of this hall. So again, on this first floor, the laboratories are Detlev, Yaromir, Darliana Tingelplot, Dylan Fleur, and Ida.
Do we want to look at Detlev's laboratory to see what he was working on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior.
So, real quick though, at the time that Ida claims that she heard someone scream
Right.
from the main
She
chamber,
was in her laboratory.
and was that during the same time that there was a meeting
That's
going
right.
on?
Yes.
And why was she not at the meeting?
She said that she had an experiment that she had to keep running,
Uh-huh.
and
You forgot.
she couldn't go to the meeting. And then once she heard the scream and found the body, she forgot that there was a meeting and ran down the hall shouting for people to try to get someone to help, and then eventually found them in the dormitory upstairs in their meeting.
Okay, they were having the meeting upstairs.
That's right.
Okay.
So you go to the closest door, which is Detlev's laboratory. There are long lab benches that sit empty in this room. Long, they're work benches, like tables.
Was the door closed?
Yes, the door was closed.
Solid? Okay.
Yeah. And they're all empty. These sort of soapstone laboratory tables. They're all empty except for the one on the eastern wall, which is covered in dice, playing cards, and sheets of parchment with mathematical scribblings. There's a chalkboard covered with calculations, and there's a bookshelf on the western wall that holds 5 books on mathematics, as well as a small pile of scroll tubes. And there's a box that has been drawn in the lower right corner of the chalkboard, and someone has written, "Meet Cole at 14th bell." About Tor? Question mark.
Can we determine this is like written in chalk?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something I don't think I could do in real life, but can you tell how old the chalk is?
No.
No.
You can't tell if this is something that was written today or previously.
Who's the one who pulled out the note about
Cole.
Cole? Okay.
Would the 14th bell have passed for today?
So that's 2 o'clock, and that would have been the most recent hourly bell ring.
So if Cole has no memory of talking to Darliana, maybe the Cole that Detlev talked to is also not the actual Cole. So there may be one person that is impersonating Cole and trying to use him as an scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the nervous Cole is the fake Cole. Or maybe it's just Cole.
He's a red herring.
Okay, can I make anything out from the calculations, or can I find anything that says
What's
that
your
talks
intelligence
about
bonus?
that taboo? Plus my intelligence bonus plus 4.
Oh, yeah. You look at it, you immediately realize that these are all mathematical calculations about probability. In fact, you think that Detlev was trying to measure the strength of his divination abilities by comparing predictions to pure chance. He was actually doing some research on his predictions by trying to measure how accurately he could predict some random events. And he, based on the numbers he's written down on the board, the observations he's made, it looks like he was fairly good at predicting rolls of a 6-sided die, but he couldn't predict events as well when the probabilities were lower and there were more options. So lower probability events, like rolling a 20-sided die or something like that, pulling a card out of a deck, he had a harder time predicting those. He was working on ways, based on the math on the board and also some of his notes that are scattered around, you think he was working on ways to sort of compartmentalize his predictions and by doing so build up to larger, more difficult predictions. So sort of by saying, well, is it going to be higher than 10 or lower than 10? And break things down into smaller categories and try to make more accurate predictions by doing it sort of piece by piece or step by step.
Is there I guess I'll need to check history or intelligence. Do I recognize the game or the cards on the table?
It's a standard deck of cards.
Okay.
Nothing interesting. Not a deck of many things or anything.
Not tarot cards.
Not even tarot cards, just playing cards.
I'm wondering if he cheated someone or was trying to cheat someone and that person got mad. And
I'm wondering if there's someone's research that would be hindered or invalidated or something like that by Detlev's research, and they wanted him gone.
Now,
There's got to be motivation.
I need to remind you guys that if you want to investigate more thoroughly, or if you want to just see if there's anything secret or hidden, then you can make perception or investigation checks depending on what you're trying to do. Just to remind you, perception checks are to spot things that are hard to see or hard to find, and then investigation checks are to sort of look while trying to deduce what has happened.
Yeah, I wanted to do a more thorough check of the room to see if there's anything in drawers or in the bookshelf.
All right, so you wanted to sort of search, so maybe perception. So your perception bonus is 1. All right, you do a very thorough search. You don't see anything immediately strange. You do decide that Detlev was either extraordinarily messy or someone has gone through these papers in a hurry. It's impossible to tell if something is missing because it's too messy. But you do find, buried under a pile of parchment, a book, which is cataloging predictions that he made that were surprising or unexpected, usually from dreams.
What does it say?
Well, most of his predictions are mundane. They're just not they're not interesting, even if they're surprising, and many of them have in fact been crossed out. But a few of them have not. Things like the porridge will run out sooner than expected. Apparently he was correct about that one. Tor will not stop by to ask questions today, the first time in 2 weeks. Water from the aqueduct will temporarily stop without notice due to maintenance tomorrow. And then the last one is the most interesting one. Tor will disappear, but he will not go willingly. Warn him, or ask the others first. I sense risk. Then there's another note with a slightly different colored ink, but the same handwriting. And it says, Tell others of successful forecasts, or stay quiet. Maybe ask Cole, or go straight to Klemperer. Can Atolf be trusted?
So he predicted that Tor was going to go, but not willingly. And then the next one was tell others about success. So it seems like he's saying he knows Tor did go unwillingly.
And the first option was Cole. So
Mhm.
did he go and speak to Cole? Huh. Okay.
Is the deck of cards complete?
Yes, it is.
I take it.
It's a complete deck of cards.
Also, Tor was interested in whatever Detlev was studying because he had been coming here every day for 2 weeks to ask him questions about his research. So
Well, he was probably doing the same thing that we're supposed to do, which is find out about everyone's research.
Mhm.
So he might go to everyone. We just have to find out if that was Tor's kind of thing.
I say we move on to the next room, but eventually go up and check the living quarters for Detlev because that will tell us a little bit more about his organizational skills. Because if his room is pristine, his workspace wouldn't be like this. So that means that someone did go through his things.
Are there does it look like any pages have been torn out of his notebook that catalog his unexpected?
No.
No.
No, in fact, it looks like it was buried under this big pile of papers, and no one else has... You're the first person to have found it, you think.
Let's take that book with us just in case we need to show it off somewhere later.
All right, you take the book. Where to next? The other laboratories on this floor
Yaromir.
are Yaromir's laboratory, Darliana Tingelplot's laboratory, Dylan Floor's laboratory, and Ida's laboratory. Oh, I'm sorry. And also there's another room that it's just labeled dining. And then at the end of the hallway, the big double doors, that's Minister Klemperer's laboratory.
I feel like whenever we talk to people, the first time we talk to them, we're going to get the most honest answers. So we might want to check out Detlev's living quarters, like Finn said, first, to see if it's messy or looks like it was actually ransacked by someone.
Okay. So the dormitory is upstairs. So you go all the way down the hall. The stairs are on the right. You walk up the stairs. You can hear some kitchen noises coming from the dining area behind those double doors. And you go up the stairs to the second floor, merging onto a very similar looking hallway. There is, just as you come out the stairs on your right, sort of to the west side of the facility, there are some doors that are labeled dormitory. So you head inside the dormitory. This large room is divided into smaller sections by a series of movable wooden partitions. On the north side of the room is a large conference table. The southern side is divided into living quarters. These wizards do not seem to care much about comfort or privacy. Each has their own space with a bed, dresser, and personal items separated by partitions, but there are no doors. It's just sort of like a big common room that they have separated with some partition. Some furniture, including beds, desks, and chairs, is stacked up on the southeast corner. 4 beds have been set out next to these stacks, along with a table and 4 chairs. You infer that these must be your accommodations.
Okay. As we look around, is there any way to tell which one is Detlev's?
No, you're not actually sure. They're not labeled.
Is there anyone in the room?
No one's in the room.
Are any particular living quarters disheveled?
You do a little time just looking around. There's an area that's a little bit messier than the others. There's a bed that's a little bit maybe not as well kept as the others. Like the sheets look like they're not being laundered as regularly. There's this meeting area that looks pretty clean, but nothing really stands out. It looks like they're not really making the place their own. It looks not that interesting. But there is one area that might be messier than the others.
There was
Wasn't
one
Landon?
I
researcher
think
that
that was kind of.
Landon, I think.
Yeah.
The messy sorcerer guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Do you guys want to talk to the minister first and find that? Well, Adolf might know which one was Detlev's.
I think Tara can break Yaromir.
What?
Tara just wants to go talk to people. She'll figure out where he sleeps when she looks at the empty beds. One's going to be Tor and one's going to be Detlev, and she wants to look at both of them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Actually, there are just enough beds here for each of the people that are here. There is no longer a space that you think is reserved for Tor.
They already got rid of his bed.
Yeah, they moved his stuff. He said he was gone, and it looks like they must have moved him out.
Brutal.
How long ago did Cole say that Tor left?
A couple weeks.
So it would make sense that they got rid of his things. Let's go talk to Jaromir, and then we can figure it out from there. Does that sound good to everyone?
Mhm.
Sure.
All right, you go back downstairs, back down the hall. You enter Yaromir's laboratory. The laboratory workbenches in this room are covered in various relics, charms, warding amulets, and other items used by the uninformed and superstitious are scattered around with no apparent organization. A bookshelf on the western wall is filled with books on cults, religions, gods, and superstition. The table nearest to the door has only one item on it, and is a small glass container, clearly in the shape of the world, with a narrow bottom tapering to a thin neck. And the top of it glows magically, sort of like the sun. On one side of it, however, it is behaving strangely. The glass seems to explode outward and then retract and reform repeatedly. And a warm, inviting glow comes over the glass as it explodes outward and then fades as it retracts. And Jaromir is in here. He's examining this weird exploding and then reforming glass container. And he's staring at it intensely, occasionally making marks on a scroll.